Yes. You
Jai
started
Baba.
recording.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Ashok, Jai Baba.
Jai Meher Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. The seven realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following. First, the only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. Second, the only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. Third, the only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, even life itself, are sacrificed. Fourth, the only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. Fifth, the only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally, as circumstances demand, without expectation of reward, when compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, or try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. The only real control is the discipline of the senses to abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity in character. Seventh, the only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Ki Jai. Jai Baba. So nice to see Ravi back after a while.
Yeah,
And
Baba.
yeah, so thanks for your message. I don't know if I responded. I started drafting a response to your message on the group, but I don't know whether I sent it. Did I send it, Ravi? Let me check my mobile.
I didn't see. Actually, we can
Yeah,
have
yeah.
some
So I
discussion on that to get some
yes,
clarity. We can
yes,
have some
yes.
discussion
So
on
I
that. Yeah.
yes, sure. So I'm glad you came on. So it's all. I don't know if you've read the portions that I specifically mentioned. So what's happened is we did see what you have outlined in your answer is our stated position from an MBA standpoint based on Ashok's presentation, your presentation, our last few sessions, and the reading, right? But if you go and read the last part, the mischievous chicken part, and the two chapters that I've referred there, there is a iota of doubt. Let's use Baba's word. There is an iota of doubt on those things because one is there instant or instantaneous Magsubiyat that everybody goes through because the word everybody is used to describe that every soul goes through Magsub status, right? Now, I
Mhm.
don't think that's the understanding we had. So that's something to think about. And the second question I had was around I forget. Let me go back to my
Adam and
notes.
Eve. Adam and Eve.
Yes, that was the first reference that we ever saw for Adam and Shiva.
Shiva.
Shiva being
Mhm.
equated to the first soul and so on. So that I think was more a comment and discussion item than clarity or doubt item. So those are the two things. So your thoughts?
Yeah. So I think whatever I wrote, I'm going to explain again.
Sure.
Uh, we're all people, right? We are human beings. What is the goal of a human being is to get the union. We all know that. So uh, everybody has got their own destiny. We understand that. So in this destiny, let's fast forward the destiny of God realization. Okay, we'll come to that point. Some souls will get liberation, and some souls will get God realization. God realization means, let's come to the point of realizing. Okay, realize in a common term. Let's forget about God and everything. What is realizing? You forgot something, and then you are operating, and that's coming, causing some misunderstanding. Somebody comes along and says, hey Ravi, did you forget that we have to operate on that way? Then, oh my God, I completely forgot about that. Okay, good. Thanks for reminding me. Now I'm realized. Let's. So based on that point, okay, what I said was different. Now, based on what you reminded me, let's go in a different way. That's something called realization, right? We know exactly what is realization. Realization happens only through mind, the person who is alive. So there are some people who are alive, some people who have liberation. That is where I think the confusion is. Some people get mukti. Mukti means they pass away as a normal human being, and they have done something, they surrendered everything, they did not reach the perfection. And Baba thought, okay, let's give him mukti. And then once he dies, the physical body is left, Atma leaves the body, and the soul hovers around the dead body for a couple days, 2 to 4 days. That's what Baba said. After fourth day, then something happens. The people whom the perfect master or Baba gives mukti, what happens there? What is left when the physical body is not there? Subtle body and mental body with the sanskaras, right? Those will be washed out by the God. And that soul becomes one with the union with the Paramatma. We are clear on that, right? Now, some other souls who have physical body, they get God realization. And then all these people who are in the physical body have to necessarily go through a process. What is the process? They have to, the perfect master might take them to the sixth plane by uh, putting a blindfolded or with the open eyes. We read that in the God Speaks. Let us say, either way, we have perfect master has taken a person's journey to the sixth plane, and then he pushed him into the seventh plane. What happened in the threshold between sixth and seventh plane is all the mind sanskaras are cleaned up, annihilated. So that's what we call it, nirvana. Okay, fana. And most of the souls stay for a couple days to any number of time, depends upon the each individual's prarabdha. And let us take most of the people. After a couple days, they acquire nirvikalpa. That means in the nirvana
Monocular.
state, they experience a divine vacuum, a consciousness that is there, but that is not God realization. That is there. That's it. A divine vacuum. They are not connected with the society. They don't know what they are doing. They are in a samadhi state for a couple days. After a couple days, what happens? They get the God realization. What is the meaning of God realization is in the Nirvikalpa, the mind becomes universal mind, and they acquire yoga sanskaras, and they experience God, that is infinite bliss, infinite power, and infinite knowledge. Everybody who has physical body going through this process have to go through this process, and that state is called Brahmazoops, or in Sanskrit they call it Brahmibhut. Okay, and after a couple days or 4 days, most of the people drop their body, and once they drop the body, they don't care. It's just clothes they are wearing. Okay, just like how we take out the clothes before taking bath in the evening or in the morning, they leave. They don't care about the body anymore. The most important thing is they are experiencing the blissful state, and their soul becomes one with the Paramatma or Parabrahma Paramatma state. Some souls, some perfect masters, depends on the prarabdha. They go to the next stage, that is either Paramahamsa state or Jivan Mukta state. That is, they experience normal consciousness whenever they want, and they experience the God state. Only perfect masters and avatar experience simultaneously either God state and uh, the duality state.
Creation consciousness, yeah.
Creation consciousness or God consciousness. Rest of them, Paramahamsas, they sometimes they are in the creation consciousness, sometimes they are in a samadhi experiencing the God state. Brahmibhuts, not Brahmibhuts, Jivan Muktas, they experience either whatever they want. They have a choice whether they want to be in samadhi or they want to be in God realizer state. And then people who are destined to be perfect master, when that place is vacated, then the other person who is ready will take up the perfect master, and they have a duty. They do the duty, uh, and then they drop the body, and they become union with the infinite consciousness. That is Paratpara, Parabrahma state. That is the whole story.
Sure, I think this is where we are all, I think, at from a learning absorption standpoint. As I said, it was a targeted question, which remains and prevails. We will see when we are able to break out of that. By the way, where we left off last time is we went actually up to page. What is the page?
108.
125.
Oh,
No. We were at 125. Yeah. So basically, we continued reading and we went on.
I see.
But
I see.
I was suggesting, and I still think that's the best thing to do, given that this is a part. So this is the next part of the book, starting page 118. It's two kings, and he's using the two an analogy to describe, and he barely started it. So I would rather do it again so that everybody is on. It's fresh in our mind rather than leave it to the 3 pages that we read last time. So I'll start with two kings ab initio.
Karthik, we
Yeah.
all have some idea, right? What is we should have a meaning of understanding of what is two kings, right? You all have understanding?
Actually,
Not yet.
no, we don't have a great understanding. Go ahead. Why don't you throw
Uh,
some light? This is again a first reference for me of this analogy, and I did not have this analogy card pop up in any of the literature till now. So go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Two kings are, it's very simple. Simple. Karthik, you are there. And exactly you are Karthik, right? You know exactly you are in a world of duality. But after reading, going through all the God Speaks and Baba literature, and after loving Baba, you have the knowledge. Actually, you are not Karthik. You are that God, right? Theoretically, you have that
Yeah.
knowledge that you are God.
Mm-hmm.
But only thing is you don't have the experience of God. And we give importance to your own emotions, and basically the sanskaras drives us, and basically we respond to the sanskaras. Now, let's say we fast forward it. uh, Initially, before fast forwarding it, Somebody told you, hey, Meher Baba is there, he is God, he is avatar, you are, God is there in you. And that is the point when you say, oh, really? So what is your state of mind at that time? You have only one king at that time, and that king is Karthik. Oh,
Hmm?
some information. Okay. Slowly, what happens? You start loving God. And the God, what happens, starts awakening in your heart. And then you experience that love, Baba's love. Then what happened? There are two kings now. One is you. You didn't leave it, right? You're still Karthik. You're still operating under Karthik. But you have entertained, there is another entity in my heart, and that is God, that I'm calling it God. That's why you are loving it. Now, as we proceed, as you proceed over your life, what happens is the importance of whether you are giving to Karthik or to Baba starts changing. Let's say after 10 years of loving Baba, you love Baba more. And let's say you started giving more and more importance to what Baba said, and you want to do what Baba said. So you are giving importance to his saying, and you're changing your life. That means the second king, the Baba king, is giving more priority, and your king, the Karthik king, is going lower and lower in priority. Finally, when Baba thought, okay, Karthik is ready for God realization, that is the point when you reach, you completely ignore Karthik. Your mind is completely occupied by the love for Baba. That means the other king, Baba king, is completely taken over your mind. I think I hope I explained enough so that you have some idea what are the two kings. Two kings are nothing but I am one king and Baba is the other king. Two kings.
Interesting. I did not see it like that when I read the first two pages. Interesting. And then I think there's also talk of the progeny and Sanskrit names for those and so on.
Yeah,
So
I'll bring
let's
some.
let's dive into it. Let's dive into it
Okay,
and read it
sure.
again in this context. Thank you very much for that context. Yeah. So I start Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. The two kings. Before the beginningless beginning, there was nothing. But there were two kings and one queen. Before there was nothing, the first was the all pervading king named Sarvasva, and the second was the all knowing king named Sarvagya. Sarvasva is the infinite unconsciousness from which the universes evolved and the subtle and the mental worlds involved. King Sarvagya is the infinite consciousness, the state of God in the beyond. King Sarvasva is unconscious God, and King Sarvagya is conscious God. The name of the queen was Vaikunt, meaning in Sanskrit, the place where God takes rest and sleeps. Vaikunt is the universal mother or Eve, who was original Maya, from whose body, womb, all mind, energy, and matter issued forth. Before the beginning, Sarvasva, the all pervading king, used to sleep for 12 months at a time, and while he slept, the all knowing Sarvagya was awake. Then, after 12 months, the all knowing Sarvagya would sleep, and the all pervading Sarvasva would remain awake for 12 months. During these 12 month cycles, the queen Vaikunt would go to that king remaining awake and stay with him for 7 hours. Occasionally, both kings would be awake at the same time. At that time, the queen would go to Sarvasva for 7 hours and then go to Sarvagya for 7 hours. Thus, ages and ages, cycles and cycles passed by, and Vaikunta began to feel restless and dissatisfied. Finally, after some incalculable period, she was completely miserable because she, the queen, had no child. So one day, Vaikunta went to the all-knowing King Sarvagya and wept before him, crying out, "You, Sarvagya, are all-knowing. Then surely you know how unhappy I am. I long for a child, yet I am barren and have none. Please, all-knowing one, give one child to me."
Karthik, shall we
Sir,
stop here for a second?
sure.
So before we go into this Vaikunta, so there
Mhm.
are two kings, right? Sarvagna and Sarvasva.
Sarvasva.
So what was I telling before is Karthik and Baba, right? Two kings. That's what I said. So Karthik is none other than the is it Sarvasva or Sarvagna? And who is the unconscious god?
Sarvasva.
Sarvasva. You
Yeah.
you are none other than the god, but unconscious god.
Mhm.
And Sarvagna is conscious god. So what is our ultimate goal is uh, the unconscious god wants to be conscious of his abilities, that he is infinite power, infinite knowledge, and infinite bliss. He doesn't know before. When the beginning of the beginning, God didn't know who he was. So he has to ask himself a question: Who am I? And that created a sanskara. Simultaneously, the consciousness also was evolved, and the consciousness was divided into two parts. One part is A, that is unconscious part of the God, and B, that is the conscious part of the God. So the whole journey is nothing but the unconscious part of the God, that is one king, Sarvasva, wants to become one with the Sarvagna. That is the second king. That is the conscious part of the God. When the consummate consciousness becomes, that is when you get the God realization. That is the one part of it. Now, the second part of it is Vaikunta. Okay? That is where I had a confusion. At one time, I used to think, where does God exist? Where does Narayana exist? In Vaikunta, right? That's what we all know. I don't know whether you guys know or not. That's what I used to think. I thought Vaikunta is heaven. That is where God lives. But here, as per Bhau Kalchuri, as per the Baba's instructions, he wrote, Vaikunta is nothing but Eve. That is that he is personified as a Vaikunta, Eve, the female part of the Sati, female part of the Shiva. Yeah.
It's more confusing. Your idea of Sarvasva and Sarvagnya is a bit confusing. Let's go further and find out.
Okay.
I totally support that. I'm also confused, but I would rather wait and than react. And I think a question anyway we have paused. So I had this question even the last time, and I'm sure Mamaji has done some work, and maybe you know about this, Ravi. So is there a similar reference that already is there in Vedantic literature or mythology, where this analogy is used to explain God and God realization?
Yes, it is. I don't know
Okay.
exactly, but
Uh-huh.
it is there. Adi Sankaracharya, I believe, in some scripture. I don't know. I could not find it. Was
Okay.
explained that consciousness is divided into two parts: unconscious part and conscious part.
No, the
And
use of these terms, sarvasva, sarvagya, analogously as the way it is done here, is there a parallel in
no, I don't
Vedantic
know. I don't
literature?
know.
You're not aware.
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know. Maybe there is.
Okay.
I don't.
Mamaji?
I am also not clear about it. I would like to read this full and then try
Get to
to
that.
get to that.
Cool.
Because
Sounds good.
as you have read till now, Sarvasva is supposed to be God in the beyond state.
Correct.
That is agreed. Sarvagna becomes the conscious part of God, or the God after the who am I question,
Correct.
probably.
No,
Correct.
Sarvasva is
So,
the unconscious part of the God. Karthik, can you go to the previous page?
Yeah.
There he explains Sarvasva is the unconscious part of the God, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So unconscious as in the state of beyond. That's what Mamaji is saying, which I
Beyond.
agree.
Yes.
Right.
There-
So the
There's
state
only
at
one.
which there is
There is only one unconscious part. That is the beyond state of God. There is no unconscious part in the beyond state of God. There is only
point
unconscious
taken.
and
Point
conscious
taken.
part only in the beyond state,
Point
as
taken.
per that
Point taken.
10 states of God.
Point taken. Good catch. Yes, it's beyond state, not beyond the beyond. Agreed. So let's continue from this page again. And by the way, welcome to Ashish. Ashish is joining us. He's from Amravati. I met him in Mehrabad, and then we connected up. And he said he will try to attend some classes. So welcome, Ashish. Jai Baba.
Thank
Jai
you, Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Yeah, Baba Ashish, we want to see your face.
Sure.
So you might know the Gawande family. Ashish, by the way, I met in Myrtle Beach, and we built a relationship over since then. So I met his parents and Ashish at Myrtle Beach when I was there first time. So that's how it happened. So that's context for everybody. He lives. His parents live in Amravati, and I believe Ashish is still in Mehrabad, and probably his parents are there now with him. He's
Right.
working from Mehrabad, so like we people work from home. He's WFM, right, Ashish?
The work from home.
Yeah, work from Mehrabad. Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's having fun. So
Yeah,
he
Baba
rented a
Ashish, welcome.
Okay, let's probably have Ashish. Maybe he's having technical issues. We can have him pipe in the end to tell us a little about himself. So I continue. You, Sarvagya, are all knowing. Then surely you know how unhappy I am. I long for a child, yet I am barren and have none. Please, all knowing one, give one child to me. Sarvagya, the knower of all, answered her lovingly. Dear Queen, it
Sorry.
is. Yeah, Ashish, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, I got disconnected when I was trying to switch on my camera.
Oh,
So
there you
ignore
are.
me.
You are in Mehrabad.
Yeah, I'm in Mehrabad.
Very nice.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Good, good,
Jai
good,
Baba.
good. So we'll talk about some stuff offline, Ashish. I'll connect on that later. Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Uh, yeah. Okay. All right. I'll continue. But I can give the knowledge, but I can give you the knowledge of how to get a child. If you act on my advice, you will have not only one, but seven of what you wish for. The queen eagerly agreed to follow his advice. So Sarvagya began to tell Vaikunt, when Sarvasva, the all pervading, is asleep, go and disturb him. Try to awaken him. Though Sarvasva is in the deepest sound sleep, he will slowly awaken because of you. But at the moment he awakens, he will be incredibly angry. You must not be frightened, even if he spews fire. If at that time you dance and sing before him and try your best to give him pleasure, then he will become pacified and calm. Sarvasva will then desire you, Vaikunt, and take you as his wife. Once his desire is satisfied, he will desire you again and again. And after every 700,000 years, you will have one child until seven children are born from you. Vaikuntha understood well the meaning of Sarvagya's words. She could feel the seductive powers stirring within her bosom. Sarvagya then smiled at Vaikuntha and continued, "But the names of your 7 children I shall give. The first child shall be called Brahmanda, seed of the universe. The second child shall be named Prana, the subtle realm. The third child shall be called Chaya, shadow. The fourth child shall be called Kaya, form. The fifth child shall be Maya, power or the subtle. The sixth child shall be Kailasha, mental realm. The seventh child shall be named Mukti or liberation. Until you have given birth to all 7 children, you, Vaikuntha, must not come back to me. But after the seventh child, Mukti, is born, leave the all-pervading Sarvasva and come back. Then I, Sarvagya, will absorb you within myself forever." Hearing
I think
what
I
not
think
yeah,
we should go back to that list.
of the names, the children.
Yeah, children. Okay.
So I think it's just mentioned with a brief description here. I'm hoping that it's described in detail down the line.
Somewhat, but I think if you observe carefully, um, the God is coming through. See, in the God speaks, we read involution path, right? When the human being is getting God realization from the gross plane to first plane, second plane, third plane, and fourth plane. From there, he switches to the mental plane. That is 4.5 and fifth plane and sixth plane, and then he goes to the world of duality, right? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
world of dignity. World of dignity.
Correct.
Now, the God is coming in the other way, isn't it? This is nothing but a path that is explaining what God is coming down to the grass plane. So, Brahmanad is Brahma Loka. Brahma Loka means sixth plane. That's what is explained. Have you read that before, or is going to come in the future?
I think it's going to come in the future. Brahmanda.
Brahmalok is sixth plane. I think we already read it. 123. You already read it. Brahmalok. You already talked about the planes, right? It is explained in the planes. Sixth plane is called Brahmaloka. Fifth plane is called, was it Shivaloka? Third plane is Shivaloka. I forgot the names. Fourth plane is called. We have to go back. Anyway, now the God soul is going through the opposite side now. He is going through mental plane, sixth plane, and then coming to the fifth plane, but there is no activity there. They just spend some time in that without any activity and then go to the fifth plane and then see the subtle realm, right? The prana. That is nothing but subtle plane. And then comes to the shadow, that is the grass plane. It has got a form. It goes through the Maya and then goes back to the mental plane and then finally get the liberation. This is nothing but the opposite travel of the God to come back to the. This is the whole circle, but he is showing the whole circle now.
Yeah, so I don't get how it is opposite because I'm not sure of that because you start with subtle mental and then you go to liberation, which is the progression of involution.
Right. But when he's coming back, God is coming from the mental plane. He's stationed in mental plane for some time.
And
but
then
no
you
activity.
have subtle realm of prana, and then you have shadow again.
Yeah.
So maybe
then
it's 2 journeys, or the journey from Brahmanda to Mukti is right through evolution to involution. Is that
right?
something?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That is, I think it is from the first whim, what happens, the creation of the whole cosmos and then the different parts of the cosmos, and as they acquire other properties, then they totally become a form. And as the form tries to say live in this Maya, there is the addition of the mental sphere. And to get out of all this thing is liberation. So it is, in one chart, it is a reverse, but it actually explains the creation of the whole cosmos, and then the forms, different forms, and how they progress of the consciousness with the addition of sanskaras and all that. So it's a different way of interpretation, I think. So uh, Ravi's idea is not totally taken, but it gives a lot of sustenance to understanding, I think. Yeah, Baba.
Yeah, Baba. So let's continue.
See,
Until
I
you have
thought it
given,
comes, I'm sorry, Karthik.
yeah,
I
go ahead,
thought
go
it
ahead.
comes before that the soul in the mental plane spends about 1 lakh lifetimes or years, something like that. He explained. And then in the subtle plane, he again spends, the soul again spends 1 lakh years or 1 lakh lifetimes. I think years, years. And then it goes through all the other cycle. Did you read that before or you did not?
No, it did not show up yet. So
Oh,
maybe it's there
probably
down.
it comes in the future. Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
very good.
Okay, so let's continue. Until you have given birth to all 7 children, you, Vaikuntha, must not come back to me. But after the 7th child, Mukti, is born, leaving the pervading Sarvasva but after the 7th child, Mukti, is born, leave the all pervading Sarvasva and come back. Then I, Sarvagya, will absorb you within myself forever. Hearing what knowledge itself had declared, the queen felt very happy and went to Sarvasva to seduce him. As she had been wisely advised, she disturbed him. She shook and awoke Sarvasva from his deep sleep. This indeed angered him, and as Sarvasva awakened, great flames shot from his mouth. Though great fire exploded from Sarvasva's eyes and mouth, the queen smiled and was not afraid. Vaikuntha began to dance and sing in a most enchanting and seductive manner until Sarvasva was pacified. Then he began to desire her. So, after some time, fully enchanted by her beauty and completely seduced by her charm, Sarvasva lay with Vaikuntha and forgot himself in her bosom. And they lived together as king and queen, as husband and wife, for 4,900,000 years, having 7 children over ages and cycles, naming each child as Sarvagya had wished. After bearing the 7th child, Mukti, Vaikuntha left the all pervading Sarvasva and went to Sarvagya, who absorbed her within himself forever as he had promised. The all pervading king, infinite unconsciousness, also known as Sarvasva, the all knowing king, infinite consciousness, Sarvagya, and the king and the queen, the nothing, original Maya, were all together in the beginning. From the advice, that is the knowledge of Sarvagya, and the relationship between Sarvasva and Vaikuntha, sprang creation in 7 stages through the 7 children. In that very beginning, the nothing existed with the 2 kings in the sleeping ocean, the beyond beyond. Though the nothing, Vaikuntha, was only nothing, the shadow she had 7 latent powers: lust, anger, greed, pride, selfishness, hatred, and jealousy. The all pervading king, infinite unconsciousness, was asleep in the beginningless beginning. But in the beginning, after the whim of desire, he was slowly awakening out of that ocean. At that time, the all knowing king, infinite consciousness, was also slowly awakening out of that ocean. And simultaneously, nothing was going from one king to another with her 7 powers. After ages, Vaikuntha, the nothing, went to King Sarvagya because he was all knowing, infinite consciousness. He was not affected by nothing because he knew himself to be everything. Nothing attracts through her 7 powers. Infinite consciousness has only one power, but that power is knowledge which overcomes all other powers. Consequently, everything can never be attracted by nothing. Sarvagya cannot give children to Vaikuntha. However, poor infinite unconsciousness, Sarvasva, had no knowledge and lay sleeping in that ocean. When nothing went to Sarvasva with her 7 powers, he was attracted to them because he was ignorant, unconscious. Thus, nothing and infinite unconsciousness were one in ignorance in the very beginning. The states of infinite consciousness and infinite unconsciousness were fully established when original Maya, Vaikuntha, expressed her desire for children. The nothing was the queen, the female side of ignorance, the receptive quality. Infinite unconsciousness was the king Sarvasva, the male side of ignorance, the creative quality. And their relationship gave rise to the whole illusory universe. Infinite consciousness, King Sarvagya, was there as a witness, knowing that Vaikuntha was nothing, that Sarvasva was unconscious, and knowing what would happen when they lay together. Though nothing was actually nothing, it was there even in the very beginning. And through Vaikuntha, illusion presented itself to King Sarvasva. Within Vaikuntha, King Sarvagya created illusion. Vaikuntha is original Maya, the shadow of knowledge, the medium through which illusion, the children, came into being. I think somebody's mic should go on mute. Though the nothing and infinite unconsciousness were one originally, ignorance, the interaction between them gave rise to 7 major stages of creation, the 7 children. These 7 children represent the 3 worlds and 7 planes first passed through unconsciously by the soul when it enters creation, and then pass through consciously as the soul experiences creation through evolution and leaves it through involution to attain realization. I'll pause here, but I think this is a good summary of the explanation of those 7. So these 7 children represent the 3 worlds and the 7 planes, and there are 2 journeys. First, pass through unconsciously by the soul when it enters creation, and then pass through consciously as the soul experiences creation through evolution and leaves it through involution to attain realization. So in this context, let's go back and read those 7 stages if everybody's okay. Where is that? Yeah, here it is. But the names of your 7 children I shall give. The first child shall be named Brahmanda, seed of the universe. So maybe this is to be taken as the whim and the beginning. I mean, the home point and creation being, I mean, the start of creation. The second child shall be named Prana. So this is the subtle realm. The third child shall be Chaya, shadow. The fourth child shall be Kaya, form. So, but form is gross. So you come from subtle to form, which is gross. And then the fifth child shall be Maya, that is subtle again. So from the gross, you go in the second journey and go to subtle. The sixth child shall be Kailasha, which is the mental realm. And then the seventh will be Mukti, liberation. But then please note, these are not the 7 planes. This is the worlds and the planes, like he says in that description. So we have read this again. I'm sure it may be explained further. Yeah, go ahead.
I think you will have to make a maybe a fun. I'll say subtle difference. Prana is subtle realm, and Maya is power of the subtle. So, what do you mean by that? It is not actually the subtle plane or anything. There is, because mental realm is referred to next, and prana is referred to as subtle realm, whereas Maya is power or the subtle. So I think
Yeah, it's not a
Maya
realm.
is, so we need
No, but
to.
if you remember the paragraph at which I stopped, there
Yes.
Maya is given the same treatment as what we learned in discourses, right? The creator of illusion, right?
Yes, yes.
It's the creator of illusion. Yeah. So I think here Maya is said to be power or subtle. So we'll park it. We'll keep
Yes, yes.
going further to see how what we understand. Oh, wait a second. How far did I go? Knowledge is, I should have marked it. Yeah, I think here. These 7 children represent the 3 worlds and 7 planes. First passed through unconsciously by the soul when it enters creation, and then passed through consciously as the soul experiences creation through evolution and leaves it through involution to attain realization, which is mukti. Let's continue. Knowledge is real and ignorance is false. Therefore, ignorance does not exist and only knowledge exists. Knowledge is the nature of the all. Knowledge is the nature of the all-knowing King Sarvagya, but he does not know that he is all-knowing. Consequently, he must know himself through the medium of the all-pervading King Sarvasva. And that medium is expressed through the Queen Vaikunta. The all-pervading King, the unconsciousness, and the all-knowing King, the consciousness, are both infinite in nature and attributes. Though the all-pervading remains in the picture throughout the drama of creation, it is the all-knowing who actually passes through evolution and involution through the consciousness of the all-pervading. It's an interesting point that's being made here. Though, I'll repeat this line, though the all-pervading remains in the picture throughout the drama of creation, that is, Sarvasva remains right through creation, it is the all-knowing who actually passes through evolution and involution through the consciousness of the all-pervading. So it is the through the consciousness of Sarvasva, Sarvagya actually passes through evolution and involution, though we have seen the other. Sarvasva and Vaikunta create the whole of creation. Right? Yeah. Let me continue.
Yes.
Knowledge.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Knowledge is the essence and nature of both kings. The all-knowing does know by being consciousness itself. But the all-pervading does not know. I think somebody has to mute. But the all-pervading does not know by being unconscious itself. By being unconsciousness itself. Let me read this line again. Knowledge is the essence and nature of both kings. The all-knowing does know by being consciousness itself. But the all-pervading does not know by being unconsciousness itself. So that's
yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting statement. And consciousness is nothing but lack of knowledge, right?
Yes.
So we connect consciousness with the knowledge, Unconsciousness is with the ignorance.
Correct.
Yeah.
I continue. The all-pervading has knowledge, but all knowledge is latent within the unconsciousness of its own nature. The all-pervading infinite unconsciousness, the ignorance, not knowing of King Sarvasva, becomes the medium whereby the all-knowing Sarvagya knows himself infinitely, which is a repetition of what we learned above. Originally, Maya is the queen Vaikuntha. She is Eve, as Sarvasva is Adam. Maya has 7 powers that give strength to falsehood. It is through these powers that Vaikuntha seduced Sarvasva for the sake of Sarvagya, so that he could know. Maya is not falsehood, but she is that which makes the false look real. Through her 7 powers that seduce, that absorb one in her bosom, in illusions.
Does anybody remember what are the 7 powers?
Maya's seductive forces. LAGPSHJ. We've got an acronym. Maya's seductive forces are anger, lust, greed, pride, selfishness, hatred, and jealousy. Through these forces, almost everyone remains absorbed in all kinds of illusions. God, the all-knowing, has only the one power, knowledge, which overcomes all other powers. The all-knowing Sarvagya can never be seduced by Queen Vaikunta. That is why he could not give her a child. Knowledge can never be attracted by Maya because it knows she is made of nothing. Whereas ignorance is always attracted to Maya as it cannot see through her as the nothing. It was through this Mayavic attraction that creation emerged from God.
You know, I remember one joke here. Baba, when he, after going through Upasani Maharaj, her mother is worried. Gulma is worried, you know. He doesn't want to get married. And all she wants, Merwan, is to get married and start a business and have children. That is her definition. And she cries with Baba. And Baba says, I don't see other person as a different, so I can't marry. And she won't listen. They have some argument on, on that. I thought that's a divine joke.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or thoughts, or we'll continue? I'll continue. In the beginning, it was Sarvagya that attracted Vaikunta to himself to use her as the medium to awaken Sarvasva and to use the children as mediums of consciousness. All because the all-knowing did not know himself, the everything. Very profound and very interesting. That brings us to the chapter on the two kings. So anybody wants to summarize it just as a way of confirmation of understanding? So we start with two kings. We have consciousness and unconsciousness. We have Vaikunta, which is but again, there's the other angle that is brought out well. The creation is through the male and the female form, which again is a new idea that's brought out in Baba literature. We have not seen this before. We've seen the male element and the female element, the receptive and the creative, right? The creative being represented by unconsciousness, and the creative being represented by Vaikunta, right? So I think this is a very profound chapter, and I think the more we engage and think through these concepts, we'll be able to internalize and use this learning effectively, right?
Yeah. I think Baba gave more information that could have been added to God Speaks. But as it is a very not an easy subject, God Speaks. It's already
True.
complicated. But once you understand, the concepts will become easier. But these concepts add to that knowledge.
Understanding, yes. It helps us further understand. And I think
Right.
this is a gem of a book. Thank you, Ravi, for recommending.
Uh,
Excellent.
Is Baba.
regarding what we read now, we need to make it very clear by maybe reading it through once again individually.
Mhm.
Here, Sarvasva, as I understand, is beyond state of God.
Beyond state, not beyond.
No, I don't think so. But we
Okay,
need to
go
dwell on
ahead.
that, I think.
Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
And Sarvagna is the next beyond state where we have the unconscious and conscious. That is the with the say initial urge. There comes two states, the conscious and the unconscious, and then this unconscious goes through evolution and then uh, gets consciousness in grades and then tries to shed off all the debris collected while becoming conscious by involution and then becomes uh, that is God realization. That is the end result of involution. So that is brought out. So here there it is told that the three stages are said. One is the actual creation uh, by all the union of all these different aspects, Brahmanda, subtle, mental, all these things, and then forum is created, and then this forum goes through different aspects in evolution, and then it rids itself of all this, and then in the process of involution, and becomes remains as pure consciousness at the end. So I think we need to be very clear, but we are in confusion, including myself. So Sarvasva, is it beyond or beyond? If it is beyond, what is beyond is not mentioned here.
Yeah,
If it is
beyond is
taken,
outside the scope of this. And the way I'm understanding is beyond is outside the scope of this analogy. We start with beyond, and then you have Sarvagya, which is the all-knowing, which is consciousness. So that's the way I am understanding it, but something to think about what you're saying as well, just to be sure.
I think it's made very clear in the beginning. Sarvasva is the unconscious part of the God. If you go to God Speaks, 10 states of God, beyond state of God, we cannot explain. It's beyond our conception. So we can only talk about beyond state of God. That is where consciousness is divided into three parts, A, B, C. What is A? That is where all the nothing comes and Om point comes. That is where the Vim comes, and then consciousness is created. The whole evolution happens. B is the conscious part of the beyond state of God. The whole story is nothing but A is uniting with the B. That is the whole story, which is again coming from the Om point, that is out of nothing. So it's all illusion. Sarvasva is A part of beyond state of God. Sarvagna is the B part of the beyond state of God. I think it's made clear, I think. Nowhere it is said Sarvasva is beyond state of God.
It is nowhere it is stated, but nowhere also it is, the beyond state is alluded
Mentioned.
to here. That is that is what is making it.
No, but then to Ravi's point, beyond is beyond. I mean, it cannot be explained, and it's outside the scope, and hence outside the scope of this is why the way I take it.
Maybe, but it is not outside the scope of Baba to explain to us. Anyway, I will take it as that. Okay.
Okay. All
No,
right.
actually, Baba emphasized there is no difference between the beyond state of God and beyond state of God. That's what Baba reiterated in God Speaks. The only difference is to have this whim coming and nothing coming out is beyond the scope of beyond state of God. That is why he divided, for our understanding, for our ignorant mind to have understanding, he divided that God state into 10 states, or initially beyond state and the beyond state of God, for our understanding. Actually, there is no difference because it's all illusion, right? All these 10 states are happening in the illusion. Even Baba also is an illusion. That's what we are thinking. But he is in always conscious of his original state.
Correct.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's continue to the next chapter, which is Adam and Eve. Let's go there. Adam and Eve. In the story of Adam and Eve, the creative relationship between infinite unconsciousness and the nothing is again portrayed. The all-pervading king, Sarvasva, is Adam. Maya, Vaikunta, is Eve. And they once slept happily together in the paradise of the beyond. God is the all-knowing, Sarvagya. Adam and Eve were created by God in the very beginning, and they lived together naked in paradise, Eden. In paradise, their life was harmonious, beautiful, and blissful. And God, whom they had never seen, cared for them in every way. But in turn, Adam and Eve had to obey one command. God forbade them to eat from a certain tree in the garden. One
Karthik,
day,
can you stop here 1 second?
sure, go ahead.
So Baba explained all this God speaks and nothing and everything and discourses everything now because he had to bring the level of intellectual capacity to a higher states. in this lifetime, in this evolution. That's why Baba said
Cycle.
his avataric period is the last and the greatest in the cycle of the avatar. Seven stages, right? Baba has
7
incarnated.
cycles, yeah.
Yeah, came 7 times, and so this is the seventh and the greatest. That's what he said. And before he gave the God speaks, he had to give a push to every being. He gives a push. One of the avataric job is to give a push uh, to every human being so that our intellectual capacity becomes higher. Only then we could understand. When Jesus Christ was there, people's capacity was not that much. So he had to start with Adam and Eve with a simple story. That's how they could understand. Adam and Eve and forbidden fruit, and God said, "Don't eat that fruit." And Eve seduced him. That means Maya seduced him. He ate, and the whole shebang started. And right now, Baba explaining us every step how the evolution took place and reincarnation has happening, and the involution is happening, and we are able to understand that. That is the thing. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. So let's continue to the Adam and Eve analogy. One day, a snake came to Eve and convinced her to offer the forbidden fruit to Adam, which she did. Adam hesitated, but Eve convinced him to eat the fruit. Adam ate of the fruit, ate it all, and God, angry with them for disobeying or breaking his only command, threw them out of paradise. Although it is claimed in Genesis that God threw Adam and Eve out of paradise, the fact of the matter is they came into creation out of sleep. Adam entered creation from the state of sleep because of his ignorance of his own nature. Because Adam was ignorant, the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge very much attracted him, though he hesitated at first. The forbidden fruit contained the knowledge of good and evil, the opposites. It contained consciousness, the knowledge of consciousness and unconsciousness. The snake represents illusion, and illusion, though it is not real, is convincing. Illusion which has no substance of its own, but to which the nothing is very susceptible, is the snake which convinced Eve to tempt Adam or stirred Vaikunta to desire a child. The fruit from the tree of knowledge represents the object that creates desire through temptation, Eve's powers of seduction. Eden is the beyond state of God, the original state of everything. Adam, Eve, and the snake. Latent before the beginning. Adam entered creation because of the desire created by tasting the fruit. The more he ate, the more he desired to know himself. The taste of fruit gave Adam knowledge of good and evil, meaning he knew the difference between conscious and being unconscious. He desired to be conscious, to know. In Meher Baba's book, God Speaks, this desire in Adam to know himself is referred to as the original whim, lahar. Who am I? God Speaks is dedicated to the snake, illusion. Since without that snake, Adam would not have become conscious. That same snake is called by Hindus the Sheshanag, Adam's being thrown out of paradise indicates the force of the whim, the force of the movement of the whole creation. That force is called the pasara, expansion, and it is continually spreading out, moving. Adam's purpose of coming into creation was to realize who he was, but he could not without desire, and that desire is called sanskara. From that original desire to know came innumerable desires, sanskaras, which make up the illusory consciousness of everyone and everything in creation. In the beginning, Adam and Eve were naked, meaning they had no sanskaras, but without sanskaras, there is no development of consciousness. Eve desired Adam, and Adam desired the fruit of knowledge. Adam could not realize himself without the desire to know. The fruit was the cause of his desire for knowledge. As he ate and felt the grip of the sanskaras, he desired more. It takes time to know the self. In the long process of evolution, reincarnation, and involution, the hesitation on Adam's part was the stirring in the ocean of the whim of desire before any manifestation occurred. In the Hebrew and Christian tradition, this story is told that Adam was thrown out of paradise by a wrathful God after eating the fruit, but the meaning has been lost. Actually, infinite unconsciousness came out of the beyond and into creation because of its own desire, the desire to be conscious. God's, God's wrath is the same as Sarvaswa's anger when he was awakened by Vaikuntha. In Islamic tradition, the same story is told. But Satan enticed Adam instead of Eve to eat forbidden.
Karthik,
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
stop here,
Mhm.
what is the meaning of Sarvasva here? Is it beyond or not? Just go back 4 5 lines and then read.
Okay, actually, infinite unconsciousness came out of the beyond into creation because of its own desire, the desire to be conscious. So you're saying infinite unconsciousness, which is Sarvasva, came out of the beyond. So I think this is again a confirmation of that, right?
Looks like.
Looks like, yeah. Good point, good catch. Let's go to the Islamic tradition. In Islamic tradition, the same story is told, but Satan enticed Adam instead of Eve to eat forbidden wheat. And so God threw Adam out of paradise. Adam is the first one, and it is he who realized himself as God first. Adam is none else but that mischievous chicken who ate all the wrong things before he ate himself. Eve followed Adam out of the garden. She followed because she was his shadow, as the gas followed the chicken. When Eve said to Adam, "Eat this," it is the same as when imagination said to the chicken, "Eat all you want." In this way, both Adam and the chicken were deceived. But this deception is necessary to know knowledge as knowledge and ignorance as ignorance. Very interesting. A necessary deception that starts everything. So it is an unavoidable and necessary deception. The snake, the Satan, the forbidden fruit. Why? Because that's the only way knowledge can be recognized as knowledge and ignorance as ignorance, and this whole journey from conscious. I mean, getting the conscious experience of God is the objective of that, and that is known by Sarvagya. Right? So,
Another question is why the first avatar is called Shiva in India by Hindus and other religions by Adam. Must have been told by Christ, right? Or before that? Or he said Shiva, well, he must have said something related to Adam because Shiva is different from Adam. Or Shiva is also said Adi Manava, right? First human being. Adi Manava. So is it from that Christ must have said Adi Manava and they said, oh, it's Adam? I'm not sure.
that's an interesting one.
Ravi.
Adi Manava. Adam. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, in the Islamic tradition, it's called Adam.
Ah,
Literally Adam.
in
Right?
India, they call it Adam. Yeah.
Yeah. In
Adam.
Arabic, it is Adam.
Adam, correct.
Adam. So anyway, that's interesting
Adam,
background.
Adi.
Yeah. But I agree that Shiva is referred to as Adi Manava, but I don't know if there is a Vedantic reference to this concept of Adi Manava being the first human being. I have not come across.
Oh, that is there. That is there, right?
Okay.
That is
Okay.
Yeah, it is known in the Vedanta. The first human being is Shiva. That is there.
Okay.
And Shiva is always living here. He never gets God realization. He is always living. All the people who get God realization, they are called Shivatmas, right?
Correct.
Only when they leave the body, then they become get the union. Yeah.
Okay. So let me see how big this chapter is, so that we either finish it or we don't take it up. I think
picture is interesting. It explains.
Yeah, maybe we can dwell on this, but I don't think we can finish this in a rush. We can spend some time looking at this, but beyond God, and okay, Sarvasva, it's very clear. So
okay.
See, this Vishnupada is very interesting. That is the whole journey from infinite unconsciousness, that is Sarvasva, to the Sarvagna, infinite consciousness. Vishnupada is nothing but evolution, reincarnation, and then involution. That's called Vishnupada. That is there in Vedanta. And Vaikunta. That is the beyond God.
Then you come from the first drop point from the Brahmanda, mental world experienced unconsciously. So this is covering that 2 journeys now.
Yeah.
So Brahmanda mental world experienced unconsciously, Prana subtle world experienced unconsciously, Chaya, which is the form.
Evolution.
Okay. So the evolution, and then you get to the bodies in the form, which is Kaya. Gross world experienced with developing consciousness. So it's least in the stone state and fully developed in the human state, in the Kaya. From there, you go to the Maya, which is 1, 2, and 3rd plane, but subtle planes experienced consciously because human form has full consciousness. Then you get to the 4th plane, mental planes experienced consciously, 5th and 6th plane, and then you go to Kailasha.
Mukti, yeah.
And then from Kailasha, you make the leap. Kailasha is 6th plane. 6th plane, and then you make the leap to the 7th, and that's Mukti. Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Is the backward
this is
journey,
useful.
Right? Yeah.
No, so it's not a backward journey, it's a circular journey. So
Yeah,
not even
circular
circular
journey.
journey, it's
Yeah.
two journeys. It's two journeys.
Yeah,
So
correct.
it's once unconscious and once conscious.
Coming down and going back. Yeah.
Exactly. Mental, subtle to gross, unconsciously, and consciously, gross, subtle to mental.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Very interesting. So it really is a good supplement to God Speaks. Like
That's
we say, like we are all convinced, Beams is a good companion, reading companion to God Speaks and discourses. I think this book is a good companion because it gives analogous references and also explains this with another take, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's why Baba said he gave 10% of everything in this infinite intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
That is a bit more complicated, actually. We didn't come into the infinite intelligence part, but that's little complicated.
We will see. This is complicated as well. I think when Baba was giving off this intellectual gyan, I missed. I was sleeping, so I didn't get it. So I'm still struggling. I'm waiting for His
I
grace.
missed last two classes also. So I had to read through those things.
Yeah. Please,
You will
please
show,
see it in the
yeah.
video. Please see it
I
in the
will
video
go
because
through
you'll
that.
see
Go
our
through that.
discussion as well. You'll see our
Yes.
discussion as well. Yeah.
So
So
this
anyway,
diagram fully, Karthik.
sure. Second.
So my confusion is also drawn out here.
Completely
Sarvasva is
removed.
beyond God state, not beyond.
Correct. The two
Right.
aspects of the beyond God are
Yes.
Sarvasva and Sarvagya. And the journey from Sarvasva to Sarvagya is unconscious to conscious.
Yes.
This is a definitive diagram. This is a very, very useful definitive diagram. And I think for lesser mortals like us, better than the God Speaks charts. The God Speaks charts. I mean, I'm still struggling with those. So, but this is good. I like it very much.
Yeah.
Good. So now that we have a few minutes, Ashish, over to you.
know,
Let's hear it from you. Why don't you introduce yourself to the group? We all know each other. The people on the group also will say hello to you. But then why don't you open up your camera and talk for a bit? Ashish, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Just give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute.
Sure. So, Mama, your travel plans firmed up? Not yet?
Formed up, I think, one day morning till evening visit to Mehrabad on Monday.
Great.
Yes.
So you're doing a day trip. Are you doing it alone or you're doing it with everybody?
With my elder brother. He has agreed to come with me to Mehrabad.
Very nice. Very good.
And
So you're doing a
about
day
my
trip.
sister-in-law, I have to just check with her. We'll have to
Sure.
see.
Very nice. Yeah, go ahead, Ashish. Over to you.
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Yeah.
So-
So brief intro about yourself.
Sure. Like myself, Ashish Gawande. Regarding the Baba, my grandfather was the Baba lover. From his old days, he recently passed away. He just recently went to Baba, just on the 20th February, and it was really nice when I came to Mehrabad. My father is also Baba Premi, Baba lover. My grandfather, so it's journey. Like and the main motivation to involve in this call is like to get the knowledge. The problem is the lack of knowledge, right? So sometimes, yeah, I cannot say I'm the Baba lover. I'm trying to be just to love the Baba, but not much. And the main issue is the getting the knowledge. So so trying to get the knowledge from the conversation, like you guys or with some other places. So that is my objective, and that's all. It's like if you have any questions to me, I can definitely answer. So I don't know what to give the intro. in this
Sure,
conversation.
sure. I think that's good enough. So all I'd say is we are also. I mean, the common theme in our group is the interest in the intellectual understanding,
Yeah.
balanced by the importance of the heart in the whole thing. So love and heart is core to Baba's teachings, and in the context of that, of course, many of the people on our call are more interested in the intellectual understanding and the knowledge part of it as well. So
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time fighting with each other. We spend a lot of time sharing references, and it's been an amazing journey of the last 2 years. So happy to have you explore and participate and see how you like it.
Sure. Thank you. And which book you're reading? Just what? It's like just curious.
Sure. So it is a book called Nothing and the Everything. And
Okay.
all episodes of this are, I think, maybe 8 or 9 of them, 8 or 9 hours of reading. You
Okay.
are on a playlist. I'll send you the link. So
Sure.
you can catch up with it. So there are maybe there are 3 parts to this book. The first part is The Mischievous Chicken, which we completed. Today we started with the second part of the book, which is the Kings, the 2 Kings. And we finished, I think, 3 chapters today. So it's been a very, very interesting book. It is by Bhau Kalchuri. And before this, we have read Discourses a couple of times. We've read God Speaks a couple of times. We've read Beams, and very detailed reading, right? So we just do a few pages in an hour, and then we discuss and spend a lot of time internalizing it. And we have created some tools. We have created references and so on. So it's interesting 2
That's
years that we have spent.
that's really great. For Nothing and Everything, this book is translated in, I think, in Marathi. Sarva kahi and kahiच nahi. Okay.
Okay.
And this book I was trying to read. I think this book was written by either Khandare Kaka or Nana Kher. I'm not sure. I was trying to
Bhau
read it and I
Kalchuri.
was really not able to understand, to be frank.
No, but
So,
this is Bhau. This is Bhau's book.
no, it's translation. I'm saying like translation.
Oh, the translation. Okay. The
Translation. The
translation is.
translation was done in Marathi. And I
Ah.
was trying to read book in the Marathi actually. And it was really difficult
Okay.
for me to understand. Yeah. So it is good.
Try the videos and see if it helps. We
Yeah.
actually found this book. I mean, we are coming to it after detailed exposition on Discourses and God Speaks. So we are coming to it after that. So
Okay.
we found it to be a simplification in certain parts. Some parts were confusing, but we
Okay.
found some parts to be very, very revealing and enlightening and simplified compared to God Speaks. So please explore that.
Sure. Yeah.
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 Okay. So have your parents come? They were expected, right? First week of
Yeah,
March.
they were expecting. Yeah, but there was an accident of my father, and his father has some leg fracture. Now he is fine, but he was not able to come. So probably by next month he will come. Yeah.
Cool.
So you
I'm in
are
Mehrabad right now. I'm in Mehrabad from last 2 months. So maybe this Saturday I will move back to Pune.
Okay. All right. All right. Jai Baba,
Okay.
everybody.
Jai Baba.
Good to see you back, Soma. Catch up with the videos as well. And
Jai
then,
Baba. Yes.
Jai Baba.
Nice.
And then we can.
Jai
You were
Baba,
silent
everybody.
today.
Of seeing all your pictures in Mehrabad. That was wonderful.
Yes, you missed that,
Jealous.
Ravi. Absolutely. It was very amazing.
Yes.
We had a great time. Yeah.
Maybe next time
Absolutely.
I'll join you guys.
Sure. Look forward.
Certainly.
All right. So have a great weekend,
Jai Baba.
everybody. And let's catch up
Yeah.
tomorrow at 7:30. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba,
Baba.
everyone.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Jai Baba.
Avatar
Jai
Meher
Baba.
Baba
Jai
ki
Baba
jai.
ki jai.
Jai.